Hello and welcome everybody to our first Hobby Hangout live stream of 2023. I think it's going to be a pretty good year. I don't know about you guys, but so far mine has been quite delightful. And today I wanted to work on something a little bit different because it's been a while since we've done anything with Star Wars Legion on the channel. I've been talking a little bit about my love for Star Wars recently. If you guys have been at my recent live streams where I've been playing through the Skywalker saga, the Lego Star Wars video game, it's been delightful. And that got me thinking, you know, I've been sitting on a bunch of Star Wars Legion products for a while. I had a nice little run with them in 2022. Chaos Cultist and I went ahead and like built up. Oh, actually, before I continue talking, let me make sure. Yes, good. My chat is good. Oh, actually, I'm also going to switch to this for a little bit because we're not building anything quite yet. I'm just chatting with you, so why not go full screen? So we started building up our Star Wars Legion Clone Wars box set, which comes with Obi-Wan Kenobi, a bunch of clones, and then I believe it comes with General Grievous, and then a bunch of droids, some of which are droidicas, which are some of my favorite. Although I chose to do the clones and everything. So I painted up well, actually, I think Chaos Bolt just painted up the majority of everything, but I helped him build the clones, and then I painted like a couple of things and did some help with that. So today I thought I'd be actually painting up the Shadow Collective, which is another set that I have from it because it contains one of my all-time favorite characters from Star Wars, which is Darth Maul. So that's what we're going to be doing today. But before we get into that, I just want to say hello to everybody. I see that there's several of you already in chat. Mikhail, welcome, welcome, welcome. Go for it, painting. Happy New Year. I hope your New Year is going super well. Jackson, hello. David, hello. I hope you are doing well because I am doing fantastic. And Michael, it's good to have you here. I hope you're having a wonderful New Year. I certainly am. Please do let me know what your plans for January are in regards to projects, because this, with the Star Wars Legion, let me go ahead and switch back to my live screen, is what one of the things that I actually want to accomplish in January. So when I started this channel, I actually started it partially as a way to motivate myself to get off my butt and actually paint all of the backlog that I had sitting in my pile of shame, quote unquote. And it helped. It definitely did. I was successful in that for a bit. I have not actually fully opened this yet, so I think I have literally everything in here. So we've got all of our cards, tokens, and stuff. We don't care about any of that right now. We don't need that until we're actually playing the game. In the meantime, we just need the miniatures and the guide to build it. Oh, which includes me needing to pull it up on the computer or on my phone. So I'll probably do that unless there's something else here. Nope, I think I'm going to need to pull it up on my phone. So I'll do that here in a second. I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, we had been sitting on this for a while. Oh, and I started the channel to basically get through my pile of shame. That worked for a little bit, but I felt like in the back end of 2021, even before I started doing my Lego dive, I don't know, I just wasn't having as much like motivation to work on some of those projects. So in 2023, I decided that one of the things I wanted to do is try to actually work on more projects again and actually complete some armies. And I figured, why not start with something small that's easy to maintain and actually measurable to complete, which is the Shadow Collective box set. Now, I will be working on Darth Maul on a video here in the future, so you can kind of consider this a little bit of behind the scenes. But my plan today is to try to build up everything, or at least as much as I can in the 2-hour time limit. Who knows how successful I will be, because as you guys are probably aware, and you can already see me doing, I get really into just talking to you guys and then not actually working on my project. Oh, speaking of which, we need to, before we actually like start working, we need to discuss which of these we're building, because we're definitely going with classic Darth Maul with his double-ended saber. I also decided to go with this particular set, not only because it was a slightly larger set that gave me a little bit of a bigger project to try to work towards, but I also like this one because it's got sexy Darth Maul in it. Like, look at that, man. He's got his great V-neck. He's showing off that torso. He's walking with some swagger. Ugh, Darth Maul is just such a good character, and I love every arc of him. It's just all perfect, and I hope that maybe, I don't know. No, he would be dead by then, I think think he'd already be dead, unfortunately. I was hoping that maybe we'd see him in Ahsoka. Maybe we'll see him in flashbacks or something. But that would be really, really cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the box aside, check on chat, 'cause I see a bunch of you have shown up and are saying hello. So hello, Lightspeed Animations, welcome. It's great to have you here. Ooh, Russell, you're working on printing up some one-page rules armies. That's awesome. I recently was sent one of the miniatures from One Page Rules. It was the it was a pharaoh. I don't remember what like their naming convention was for it, but it's essentially Tomb Kings. And it was beautiful. Like, I really, really like their miniatures. They're really gorgeous sculpts. Ben, welcome. Happy New Year. Hope you're doing well. David, I can't wait. You finished your Batman? Oh, that is your goal. I see. That's your goal. Okay, awesome. I love that because I saw what those look like and they are stunning looking. I can't wait to see what you actually do with them when you get paint onto them. It's going to be awesome. Oh, that's so cool that you've actually met the actor that played Darth Maul. I think I had the opportunity to when I went to Silicon this past year, but I don't remember him being at the booth when I passed by, so I ended up not bothering with it. But like, honestly, it's sort of on like my short, like, or I guess a little more long-term bucket list to like meet him because yeah, he's just really, really badass. I also would love to meet, because I think it's a different voice actor, but I'd also love to meet the voice actor that plays him in all of the, all the games, and I believe he was the one in Clone Wars. So that would also be very cool. Ooh, Cursed City is such a cool project. That's one I actually need to work on as well. Printing armies, aka watching resin harden. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Okay, let me look into stop before assembling this. Use the QR code to visit Atomic Mass and download. Okay, cool. Let me pull out my phone and download the thing to be able to actually build my minis. I get that this is probably like just, you know, environmentally friendly, but I do like having a an actual paper booklet on how to build them. Although I suppose that these are probably easy enough. I want specifically that one, please. Thank you. I have the full box set, not the piecemeal ones. All right. We are going to focus first on Darth Maul because he is the best. And I don't want him to have the Darksaber. So we are definitely doing the classic, I know I said this already, but we're doing the classic double-sided lightsaber because it's freaking badass. Seriously, he was like the best part of the Phantom Menace. Just hands down, the best part of Phantom Menace. I think I've apparently built one of these already. Apparently I have built one of these models. I'll need to figure out where it went to. But I have not, I don't think, built Maul. There's his double-sided lightsaber. I think. All right, let's see. Let's look at our instructions. Oh, crap. I'm gonna have to like rescan this every time my phone goes to sleep. Because it's gonna always constantly close it. Is there a way for me to download it? Can I like download this to my phone so I don't have to keep freaking opening it and closing it? Sorry for the inconvenience of this, folks. Let me just go ahead and take care of this. Oh, that's right. They did tease him being alive in Solo. You know, actually, Chaos and Cultist, I think, and I were talking about this and I completely forgot. I hope so. I would love to see Maul in, Can I download this? Save to files. I would like to put it in here and save. And now if I go into my files, where did I put my files? That's an excellent question. I don't remember. Boop, 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 boop. Sorry, I know this is very thrilling. I'm just trying to make this. There they are. I found it, guys. I found it. Files. And then I would like to go into downloads. Yes. Okay, now it will be open again when I just put my face up to the screen instead of me constantly having to reuse the QR code, which would be hecka annoying. All right, so for Maul, I need A1 and 2. Okay, I think this is his torso. Look at those abs. Like, can you guys see that properly? Is it in focus? Well, he has such intense abs. All right, I think this is the sprue with him because that's definitely his double-sided lightsaber. It's so narrow. It always, okay, so one of the things that always makes me a little bit nervous when I am working with the Star Wars Legion models in comparison to Games Workshop is they just feel so much more delicate. Like, they're still very stable, but they feel so much more delicate than the Games Workshop ones. I think Ahsoka is set after Rebels. Because I assume that part of the premise of the Ahsoka series is going to be Ahsoka looking for Thrawn, and then I believe, I don't know if this is like official or not, but I know that Sabine is rumored to be in it, and I think that they technically have like cast her. I just don't know if they've officially announced it. And I think the same thing is true of Hera as well as Ezra. And my assumption is because Ezra's already had some dealings with Thrawn and Ahsoka's looking for Thrawn, that he's going to end up meeting up with the group, hopefully on the Ghost. And then Thrawn's going to be the big bad of the series, or at least like the antagonist of the series. That's my expectation and hope. And I would love for Disney not to brutally disappoint me. Come on, guys, that's all I want. I just want, like, I really loved Rebels. Like, I just thought it was such a good show, and like honestly, like rewatching and finishing up the Clone Wars is just really solidifying that. And so like my love of Star Wars has been super ignited this past year. So it's been very, very good. Supersonic, I had a great holiday as well as a great new year. Thank you for asking. I hope your Christmas was lovely as well. I hope you got spoiled by Santa and family and friends and all of that. I got a shit ton of Lego, which is exactly what I wanted, so I was very pleased to have it. One of the things I wanted to call out in this, I'm going to go ahead and give the God Hand nippers a try. I know a couple of you really liked their nippers when I was talking about their brushes a while back. So I figured this would be a perfect opportunity to give them a shot, because I also really like how much of a thin point they have on them. So I'm hoping that's going to make getting a little bit of a cleaner clip on these models. So let's go ahead and start clipping out the pieces that we need and get to actually building. I'm going to be using the Tamiya glue today to hopefully seal him together. I found that worked really well when I built up some other Star Wars Legion models, so hopefully it'll work again. Get my instructions up. I don't think I need anything else. Yeah, I just need to put 1 and 2 together. Although we definitely want to clean him up first. How do you guys end up assembling your models? Do you clip out all the pieces at once and then assemble them that way? Or do you go step by step and only clip out the pieces that you need? I sometimes will do it either way. It really depends on like what the model is that I'm working on and how confident I am that I'll be able to tell the pieces apart. Like honestly, this one I probably could just clip out everything, and I might go ahead and do that after. That way I'm not like going back and forth. So yeah, I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to clip out all the pieces I need, because I feel like that's just going to work fine here. So we need a 3 and 4. Oh, also, how is the volume sound? I assume it's good. I think I haven't really changed it or adjusted it since. But I want to make sure everything's sounding good and that the music isn't too loud. You guys can hear me all fine. I have not Supersonic. I've not tried the Pandemic Clone Wars board game yet. However, I did see it recently in stores and went, oh yeah, that came out. And it's definitely one I should try, because I really liked the Unlocked Star Wars game that they did. That I think it was is Unlocked Z-Man Games? No. Yes, I think it is. It's an Asmodee company. I know that much. But yeah, I've played that, but I've not played the Pandemic version yet. Have you played it? If so, did you like it? Ben, you say that you clip all your pieces out, flash, file off the flash, dry fit, and then mod if you want to. And that, you know, that sounds like the correct way to do it. At least that's how I tend to do it, but I do sometimes, like, do it individually. Like, if it's a bigger model, like when I built Abaddon, for example, I went piece by piece with him. But when I feel like I have these smaller guys, I do it kind of how you described. David, you're saying that you sub-assemble first so that they're set in their build and then add pins if you need to. I've never pinned anything before. Actually, is that a lie? That might be a lie. I think I've maybe pinned like 1 or 2 things before, but it was like as a test to see if I could do it, and then I really didn't go back and do it more. I think it was only for some old metal minis, actually, that I used to have. So I don't even know if I could say, like, I've done it, because I feel like that was forever ago. Yeah, I feel like that was forever ago. So I don't even think I ended up needing to pin the big resin bust that I painted. Like, I think that just assembled super cleanly together. I guess, like, maybe it would be more stable if I had, but I haven't really felt like it's been an issue. Michael, I hope you also get your 1,000 points battle, 1,000 point Sister of Battle army built. That would be really, really cool. Oh, Gravis armor is fun to paint, though. It's kind of nice and big and, like, chunky, right? Actually, so it's really fun, like, funny, Ben. I have only ever played Pandemic once. It was not the base game. It was Pandemic Legacy. And I played through 2 or 3 sessions of it. Until, unfortunately, one of my cats got up onto my counter where I had it out and decided to just pee all over it, so I couldn't really salvage it at that point, and we had to throw it away, and I've not gone back to it since. So I've actually never played OG Pandemic, but I've seen enough people play it that I think I get what you mean when you're like, when you say that it has the feelings of Pandemic. I do like when they, like, I think there are certain games that really work with IP crossovers, and Pandemic seems like one that could. So I'm glad to hear that it actually functions well, because that's always my fear whenever I see reskins of existing, especially good games, like popular games, that then just get like, here's Star Wars on it, here's Disney Marvel on it, here's whatever else, Harry Potter on it. And like, a lot of times, especially back in the day, they just sucked. Like, games like that sucked. And so you just didn't really want to deal with them. I find it funny that his head comes in 2 pieces. Oh, I think the other piece of his head is here. Yes, I remember this, actually. I saw that it had popped off of the sprue before I'd even, like, opened it. Or I guess when I originally opened it, I noticed that it had popped off the screw. I'm gonna bring this a little close, and I know it's taking it out of screen for you guys, but I don't want to like bork his face, and I want to get it clean cut. All right, so we've got that section. I really need to change the timer on my phone going to sleep. It's like falling asleep like immediately. We also are going to need a 14 and 13, and then a 9 and his lightsaber. Okay, 13. Remember this, guys. 13, 14. 9 in the lightsaber. 13, 14, 9 in the lightsaber. Got it. 13, 14, 9 in the lightsaber. There's 13. Bam. Bam. There's 14. Wonderful, because everybody needs a tactile rock to stand on. And then here is his lightsaber. Be kind of delicate here. Makes me so nervous. So thin and delicate. Don't break it. Okay, good. All right, we got that. And then number 9. Number 9. There it is. Right. And then this way, I have a, you know, just spare Darksaber. Chillin'. I wonder if I could, like... I wonder if I could make the arm work. probably be too big because it's a male arm instead of a female arm. I was wondering if I could like take this and somehow like put it on Sabine or on a yeah, actually on the Sabine, because I do have her, and give her the Darksaber like she ends up actually having in Rebels. That would be super cool. Because I don't think her model comes with it. I think it just comes with like blasters. You know who I'm actually the most excited for when it comes to the Ahsoka show, outside of, you know, the potential of Maul and the fact that we're going to get Thrawn and the fact that it's bringing back all of my favorite Rebel characters and then has Ahsoka in it, is Chopper. Like, I cannot wait to see Chopper because I think he is the most, like, he's got like the highest kill count of like any droid outside of R2-D2 if you include blowing up the oh, which base did he blow up? Or help blow up, I guess. But yeah, and outside of that, I don't remember what it is now. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Rogue. Oh, absolutely. It would be purple, supersonic. My favorite lightsaber color is definitely purple. Mace Windu has it right. I got so excited every time I got to play him in the Star Wars Lego game because he of course had his purple lightsaber, and it was wonderful. Although I will admit the red, like the classic just Sith red lightsaber does also strongly appeal to me. They all look kind of cool because they're all glowy, right? Like what? They're all very distracting and glowy, and it sparks my magpie brain and makes it go, ooh, I like all of these. But the purple one, I think it looks especially neat, but I'm also biased because I just, you know, if you haven't realized, I like the color purple a lot. I would love a series that focuses exclusively on Thrawn. You know who I actually want to get? So I know that my mind went a bazillion miles a moment there. Let me focus and actually get out what I was going to say. So what I would love to see also happen for Thrawn, because I know that they're going to continue this series and have it focus on various characters throughout it, is the mini series that they did on Disney Plus. And I'm now completely forgetting let me look up what the name of it was, because it was, what was it called? Ahsoka and Dooku. Animation Disney Plus. Will that get it for me? Oh, Tales of the Jedi. So I'm hoping that with I guess he wouldn't be a Jedi though, so I don't know if it would count, but we're gonna pretend that it will, because what I'd like is for Tales of the Jedi to do a mini focus on Thrawn. That way they could like fill in some things around what we know of him, or not what we know of him, but how they present him in Ahsoka, because I assume he's going to be very similar to what everybody knows of him in the EU, but also different enough because clearly Disney wants to take these characters and make them their own. So it'll be very interesting to like see what they do with him, and I hope it ends up, whatever it is, I hope there's a lot of it, and I hope it's all cool because I want it. Big old chunk of flak here trying to get off. See if I can nip it. Oh, I can. Nice. That worked actually incredibly well. I have to admit, I am, here, let me slightly, is that better? I'm a little more centered now. I am definitely liking these nippers for sure. They're quite nice. That, I think we're okay. That's looking good. These pieces are cleaning up nicely. I'm a little nervous to, I'm gonna pop over off to the side real quick and grab my Tamiya. Oh, actually, do I have any up here? Yes, never mind. Okay, I wanted to get my little sandpaper things that Tamiya sent me because I want to do a little bit of a finer cleanup on the lightsaber so I don't gouge out too much of the plastic. But get rid of that little nub from where I clipped it. Hey, Sheriff. Thank you for popping in. I completely understand that you can't stay tonight, but that's no problem. I hope you have a wonderful week as well, and that your new year has been absolutely lovely. And feel free to swing back by and check out the video afterwards. It's mostly just going to be me gabbing about Star Wars and building up the Shadow Collective. You know, honestly, I don't know. I thought it was actually a British term, but now I'm not sure. I think that's just what I've seen them described online, like formally, like on the papers and everything, but I'm not really sure. I kind of like it though, better than clippers. Nippers? Like it just, I don't know. Well, I mean, it sounds slightly dirty, I guess, is probably why I like it. But it's me. We expect this. There we go. Yeah, this is working exactly how I hoped it would. It's gradually and delicately taking off that edge, which honestly, like normally I would not specifically spend this much time on like I wouldn't be quite this concerned, except that it's the lightsaber. And I just feel like it's because it's already so thin, any imperfection is going to be like super, super noticeable. So I just wanted to make sure that it was like extra smooth. Yeah, that feels great. I'm not really noticing the edge there, and I think we can move on. Does the head need cleaning up, really? Some of them, like, I will admit, I find that the atomic mass models clip really easily. Like, I feel like there's a lot, generally, they're a little bit more clean than I can sometimes get the Warhammer ones. Now, maybe that's partially because of the nippers that I've been using, and maybe I was just, like, not having quite a fine enough point because they were old and I had blunted them, because I'm a little aggressive sometimes with my tools and just, like, throwing them back in where they need to go. So I think sometimes I dull the blades sooner than they really should. But, you know. Ben, I like that. I like that you call them snippers, which is the snake way of saying nippers. You know what? I accept that and approve. That is quite delightful. All right, I think we can start assembling this guy. We're going to... is this the more full one? I don't think so. Let me grab my more full Tamiya glue. Yeah. That way I'm not, like, struggling with it, going, oh! And I can seal it up a little bit more. And we're gonna open, before we actually start gluing, we should probably dry fit a little bit. Oh my god, so smelly. So I'm using this extra thin, let me make sure it's sealed all the way. So I'm using the extra thin cement because this works really well with plastic models. And I remember that working really well before. I will say though that if you do end up using something like this, make sure that you keep it sealed when you're not using it. Or if you decide you don't want to do that for whatever reason, make sure you're in a very well ventilated area, because this stuff is like really smelly and probably not the best thing to inhale over a long period of time. So just make sure that you're like being safe with it. That's why I will be trying to keep the glue sealed as much as possible, except for when I am actually specifically using it. And I may even open the window if it gets like too smelly in here, but it should be fine. Normally it's okay. I need to go back to my files, and we need to start dry fitting this sucker. So this is supposed to fit here, which makes a whole lot of sense. And get a nice seal there, and that looks good. So we'll go ahead and glue. I want to make sure that I get like a nice seal, so I'm going to put a little bit of glue on both sides of the model. because I find that that's how this particular adhesive works best. And honestly, there's a lot of adhesives that work best that way. Just doing like a really kind of thin-ish layer. I don't want to go overboard and have it flow too much where I don't want it. But I also want it to have a solid connection at each point. There we go. And then what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to come back in from the other side and kind of seal that gap a little bit and smush some more glue in there and then press. And that kind of gives you a little bit of a more solid seal. Now you do have to kind of hold it for a minute, but whatever. It's part of the process, right? I would love to go to the Star Wars celebration this year, Supersonic, but probably not. I'm a little disappointed with what Disney has been doing with Star Wars and just their parks in general, unfortunately. Like, the absolute, like, just failure. Well, it's not really a failure. But it's the disappointment that has been the hotel, and just everybody's experience that I've seen with it is a little bit of a shame. I have gone to a Star Wars day at Disney World before, though, and it was amazing. Like, it was so much fun. I got to see Anakin, and it was a really good Anakin too. Like, it was a guy, obviously, you know, in costume and everything, but it was great. I loved watching the kids all get to do the lightsaber training, like the Jedi training, and then Darth Vader coming up and like trying to convert them. I believe our little group ended up having, you know how there's like almost always nowadays, probably especially true, a kid who will like kneel to Darth Vader or like pledge allegiance to him instead of the Jedi forces and everything like that. I believe ours had one where they tried to do that and they just, you know, role played with it, so that was really great. It is, yeah, Jake, it's super dangerous. Definitely be mindful of it if you're using that glue. Because it can be quite smelly, and I can only imagine, yeah, what it must have smelled like if you couldn't smell it. All right, we need 4A, and then, which is his little butt flap. Yep, little butt flap there. And then the other part is his shoulder piece. Kind of a weird little recessed section. I always wonder what actually causes a model maker to decide to keep a piece separate from another piece. Like, for example, to me, this doesn't seem like such a problematic piece to not just have it already molded together so that it's one solid thing instead of two individual sections, right? The same thing for the freaking, is it the Redemptor Dreadnought with his stupid foot that's like comes in 3 pieces because you have to individually put on the toes, and then by doing that, and because they don't quite like make it super clear on how they're supposed to fit together, half the time it can mean that your Dreadnought's like foot is not level, and it's super freaking frustrating. Like, I want to know what goes into the design like process to make that decision to keep it in those pieces. You know, like, I just don't know. Yes, David, I completely agree. They do really need a lot less cleanup than the GW models. Like, I've already, like, I did a little bit of light sanding, especially on the lightsaber, just to really make sure it was clean, but I really felt like I didn't have to do that much, which is fantastic. Now, where does this... So, if I put this on this way, that means this piece is meant... I think it's meant to go in this gap. Although I do need to do a little bit of cleanup here, because I do see some sprue residue. Yeah, but it is. It's a super, super little amount of cleanup. I think it's because it's obviously a different type of plastic than what GW uses. But I don't actually know like what the chemical property of it that makes it actually different. A Disney Plus series dedicated to Maul would be amazing. I think the problem is like we've seen so much, like other than like I guess young Maul, we've seen every portion of what makes his story significant already. Because if you've watched the movies, Clone Wars, Rebels, and then who knows, like with all of the books and comics out there and such, because like who knows, they've probably actually gone into his past before Phantom Menace when he was introduced, and I just don't know it because I've not read too much of like that kind of material. I've only really watched products about Star Wars. I've not read too much about it, but I assume like they've already told enough of that they wouldn't. I would love that. I just don't know if they're going to. I just don't see it happening. I mean, hell, I would still like another Boba Fett series that actually focuses on like him when he's young and or when he's in his prime. Like, I don't know, that just seems interesting to me. Just realized I did not actually tap that up a little bit. I didn't actually dry fit that to see how it sits on here, so I should probably do that before anything else. Ah, okay, so it goes like that, because it's actually his hood. That makes way more sense with that shape. Of course that's not a shoulder pad. That doesn't look like a shoulder pad at all, does it? So one of the things that Chaos Occultist and I actually discussed recently is downloading some Star Wars audiobooks and listening to them, because I had another one recommended on a video I was watching that is about Leia and like why she ended up leaving the Senate, like the government, and going and heading the rebel organization. So that also sounded really interesting to me. So I have a list now going. I will add the Thrawn trilogy to that list because Chaos Cultist loves Thrawn. I actually think he's read those books. Now that I say that, don't quote me on that, but I feel like he has. There's a book called Maul Shadowhunter. Ooh, that sounds. I mean, I assume that is about Maul. What period in his life is that? Because I feel like Shadowhunter could be the Shadow Collective period where he's like a mob boss, which would be cool. All right, we've got his hood on. Looking fantastic. His body's coming together great. It's only taken me a half an hour to build one miniature, but that's because I'm gabbing too much. I mean, I did spend like 10 minutes before we started, really just like talking and discussing cool things. I like how in the instructions, it doesn't actually like tell you, like you can kind of see it there. It doesn't actually tell you, hey, put the head on. It just says build the head. And then build the rock, and then you're at this stage where he's already assembled, and then you put him together. Like I mean, obviously it's clear what you need to do, but I just think it's kind of funny because they make some assumptions. They make some assumptions that I know how and where a head connects. All right, got that. I'm gonna get a little bit more. Put it on the back side. I'm not super worried about this one being dry fitted. It's his head. It should just, you know, I assume smush together beautifully. Look at his face. This is gonna be fun to paint. This is gonna be really fun to paint because it's all spiky and he's got his little lines and stuff, and I don't know how I'm gonna do that. Painstakingly is probably how I'm going to do it. Okay, cool. So it's during his Clone Wars, or the pre-Clone Wars era. That's cool. So it is his like history before that. Yeah, there's so many books that I need to read. Words hard. All right, let me get his head glued down. Come on. Got it. That's right, because he's like running. He's like, hello, I am fast and speedy. All right, we're going to set that aside, let it dry a little bit, and in the meantime, we're going to build this rock. And then probably start clipping out some of the other guys while we wait for his pieces to dry, and then we'll do his full assembly. I don't know if I want to... I think he's open enough Yeah, I think he's going to be open enough that I can just do a full assembly, and there's no reason to keep him, like, in pieces. This rock that's like this, and then this portion goes like that. Am I doing that? I'm definitely doing this wrong. Hold on. I see. I believe it's like that. Watch as a woman struggles to put a rock together. All right, it's definitely tiny and fiddly. And where are some tweezers? Where are there? We are. Oh my gosh! So funny tangent story. I pulled these out originally, and the reason they're so close on my desk is because I needed them to help me get some Legos pressed in a place where it was like kind of recessed, and I had basically I was working on one of my mocks, and I was building some landscaping around it, and I got a point where I was like, oh, I want to add some additional pieces back there, but I don't want to just rip up everything that I've just done. So I grabbed some tweezers, these ones specifically, and we're using these like this and like gently just pressing little like studs into the base plates to create some foliage. It was delightful, but I also felt ashamed because I was like, oh, I've gotten to that point where I'm using like tweezers on my Lego. Okay, we do need to figure this out though. So you have like so the thing that I'm kind of confused by is there's a little bit of a groove here and a little bit of groove here, and I'm not sure which sections that are meant to sit on. Oh, and because it is not glued down to anything, it is flying all over the place. Pogrita, I think hopefully I said your name right. To answer your question, your first question, what does the After Dark mean on my channel? That is my second page on both Instagram, Twitter, and OnlyFans, where you can find some After Dark content if you're into that kind of thing. You can find all the links in the description under my Linktree link, because that's where I have to share all of those, because you can't share one of them publicly because people frown upon that. So you can recommend, like, you can check that out if you want to. It's totally up to you, and that goes the same for anybody on YouTube who's watching this later, or anybody who else is in chat who maybe wants to talk about it. To answer your other question, what is my favorite Warhammer faction? It's difficult for me to say, but my go-to answer right now is Death Guard, because that is the main army that I run. However, I am working on some orcs because I do love them, but there's plenty of Space Marine chapters that I like. I like a lot of the Xeno races. I tend to just like most of the factions because they all have elements about them that I find interesting, but Death Guard are definitely my favorite to play, so that's my go-to answer for that. I've actually used corkboard in the past, Michael, to make some bases, although I don't do it very often. It was really fun though. The Spyrinks that I painted like way back, like originally on the channel, as one of the first things that I did, I think it was one of the first things I did. Now I'm not so certain about that, but I know it was like one of the earliest things that I painted that I was really proud of, actually, for one of my earliest painting tutorials. On that, when I finished it, I don't think I did it on camera because I only focused, like, this was super early in the channel's career. I wasn't fully sure what the heck I was doing yet, but I built up a cork base there, and I've done that a couple other times with some Space Marines. You know, I should play around with that a little bit more. Okay, we need to figure this out. I need to focus. I'm going to focus and try to figure out where the hell does this attach. Because I feel like it wants to be... like, let me look at this. Okay, so it's saying, I think it's this. So according to the instructions, it is saying like this is the section that needs to attach to this. And it seems to be going here. I just don't see that shape lining up. Have it turned? Is that the problem? Which way is the flat side? Okay, no, it definitely has the flat side facing in. What am I doing wrong? Is that... Does that look... I think that is correct. Okay. Oh my god, I just spun it horrifically. Okay, hold on. Is it like that? Oh, I think it's like that. Because he's standing on this side. That's the back. Holy cow. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to shove glue in that seam. And then let that dry for a minute. And then I'll flip it upside down and I'll actually glue it from the other side. But like, holy cow, I felt like that was very difficult to figure out. Just was not wanting to angle correctly. I just realized. Oh, I'm a fool. I have a couple more pieces that I forgot to clip out. I need A5 and A6. I just realized I was like, I don't have his legs. He definitely has legs. Let's see. Okay, we need number 5 and number 6. Who would have thought? This is not the right sprue. 5 and 6 are this one, which makes sense because it's his fancy robot legs, which I always thought were really cool. I believe that is part of the piece, so don't snip it off, Angela. Have you guys ever done that? Where you've been snipping something and then accidentally, like, it looked like it was, you know, flak on your model, and then you realize, oh crap, that was actually like part of the model? Because I almost did that with this little piece on his boot, which I assume gets shoved into there. Yep. Perfect. All right. Cool. We've got the other pieces that we need. These do require a smidgen of cleanup. Let me take care of that right now. Yeah, that's looking good. I also find there's really not as many mold lines, or at least they're not visible to me because like, everything's so small, so. David, to answer your question, or David Norman, because I've got 2 Davids now in chat. Hello, welcome to both of you. To answer your question of what figures I'm building, currently I am working on Darth Maul from the Shadow Collective series from Star Wars Legion. My objective today is to build as many of them as I can. It's probably going to be like 2 models because I've been just gabbing mostly and taking my sweet time. But that is part of the fun and why we're here. But this is a project, like Maul specifically is somebody that I want to paint up on the channel here at the closer to the end of the month. So you can be expecting that. So this is a fun little behind the scenes for you. Oh my gosh, I can only imagine. Like, I have definitely taken off like limbs and like pieces of like connection points because of that, so I completely understand. You and me both. Is that? Oh, it's just like a random design on his leg, that's fine. And we've already cleaned up his arms, I believe. Elbow's looking a little rough. Smooth it down. There we go. And we've definitely already fixed that. So let's get his legs on first. We're gonna dry fit them. That's definitely not the right leg. All right, so that's easy enough. Let's go ahead and get that one on. Hopefully also, like, if there's any like glue leakage or anything, it'll just help seal torso together more. All right, so press and just hold for a second or 2. It should be fun. I am looking forward to it. He is definitely by far, if you guys have not figured this out yet, one of my favorite Star Wars characters. There's a lot of really good Star Wars characters though, if I'm honest. Like, I keep getting asked what my favorite is, and I have like a list, but I feel like that list keeps growing because I'm like, oh, and I really like this character, and I really like that character, and I really like that character, and it's a problem. But just to go through it real quick, it's Darth Maul, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Anakin are probably 3 of my like favorite male characters. And then although Dooku is like slowly rising on that list quickly, and I know that doesn't make sense because I said slowly and quickly in the same sentence, but if you think about it, it will make sense. You just have to think about it correctly. And then for the female characters, definitely Sabine, Ventress, and probably like, oh, Ahsoka, obviously. Sabine, Ventress, Ahsoka. But like Bo-Katan is up there. I really do like her as well. Hera's actually up there. I like her. There's too many good characters. Especially with all of the like really solid like television shows that are coming out right now for Disney or for Star Wars. Oh my gosh, yes, that is the worst, Michael. When you clip something off and it just flies off and you're like, well, that's gone forever and I'll never see it again. I've had one instance of miraculously finding a piece that I had fly off like that, but most of the time, unless it was like an actual larger or more substantial piece somehow, it's just, I've never found them. They get lost in the carpet. I don't think I'm going to put him on Tatooine, to answer your question, David. I'm a little tired of Tatooine, but I don't know. I mean, that would be appropriate for him because he does end up there. But you know, this is him, I think, isn't this him when he's on Mandalore? So maybe something that's a little bit more like that. That would be kind of cool. How is your leg, Darth Maul, buddy? Ah! Dropping his legs. Okay, I think I need to put a little bit more glue because I rubbed it all off as I was fussing with it. Because I was silly and I didn't dry fit it beforehand. I'm still not sure I've quite figured it out. Darth Maul. Bud. Okay, there we go. I figured it out. Oh, slid it too far. Okay, it's in the perfect position. Don't touch it. All right, set him down. Let him dry. Just set him down and let him dry. Okay, I'm going to take a small break from him. Let his legs dry a little bit because I don't want to bump them as I'm trying to shove his arms into place and break things. And I'll catch up on chat, make sure I still got everything covered. Oh yeah, that works super, super well then for glowing effect. I'm either gonna do that or I might end up trying to do like a highlight going up into a white, using a little bit of dry brushing, but I mean, some of the contrast reds by themselves might give the glow. I don't know. I need to do some experimenting before I actually paint him and figure out how I'm going to approach it. No, I decided not to go with the Darksaber version. I really, really like his dual lightsaber. I just feel like that is more classic, and I'm actually thinking about using the Darksaber in this set and seeing if I can, like, clip his hand off and maybe, like, give it to Sabine, because I have that many, and I don't know, I kind of want her to have the Darksaber even though she, like, canonically doesn't want to use it or wield it or anything, but, you know, it's totally fine. But yeah, I decided to go with the classic look to answer your question, Drow Gamer. Oh my god, Wrecker's so good as well as Rex. Lando's also fun. He's also fun. See, there's so many good characters that you can like have and like get invested in. He looks so badass. All right. This arm is gonna go like so. Beautiful. I think I'm gonna put that one on last, and we're gonna fit this one first. Because it actually makes me oddly more nervous in regards to getting the fit correct. That looks... Just flipping him upside down, I want to make sure it looks sealed from this angle. Okay, I think that looks correct. So we're going to put some glue in here. And... Oop, wiggle it around weirdly. There we go. Just hold it in place. Thankfully his legs dried quickly. You know, I actually don't remember if Sabine comes with the Darksaber. I thought she only came with her blasters. But, you know, she might. She might actually come with one. Yeah, no, I've used a lot of metallics underneath both speed paint and contrast paint before. It does give a really cool effect. One of my favorite ones to use with that is Aethermatic Blue, like over a very, very, very bright silver. It also looks really cool over, I don't know if you guys have ever tried it before, but the Army Painter metallics comes with like a white, I think they call it like fairy dust is the color tone. And that looks really cool with contrast paint over it too to give it that really cool glow effect. That actually might be the direction I go if I do a metallic undertone. Instead of doing like a true metallic, I might do a white metallic so that I can still get the purest possible pop out of my like my red. Because I think I'm gonna end up using... I feel like Blood Angel's red is the appropriate color tone for Darth Maul's saber. But I could see an argument for Ball's red because of how, like, already, like, vibrant and almost glowy it looks. So it's one of those things of I feel like you could do either. Alright, let's go ahead and get his other arm in there. Get him, he's such a badass. Saw his head shift a smidge, so I think I need to put a little bit more glue in there. Yeah, you can kind of see there's a little bit of a gap, so I'm just gonna slide a little bit of glue in there and press it back, and hopefully that'll seal it better. And then I think from here... That's looking good. I'm not gonna glue him to his rock yet, because I might keep him separate so that it'll maybe make him painting. I don't know. I haven't decided if that's gonna make him painting. I haven't decided if that will make him easier to paint or not. So for right now, I'm just gonna set him off to the side, but I at least feel accomplished that we got Darth Maul complete. It looked like there was a slight gap near his knee, and I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't, because it had like more of a shadow than I was anticipating, but I think it's just the overlap. I also noticed a small hair, which is not wonderful. Okay, he looks amazing. We don't need our glue for right now, so we're going to seal that up and put it off to the side, and we'll continue on with our instructions and see who else we need to build, because there are definitely other people. Rook Cast, which I believe is his, like, Mando, the chick with him, who I actually know nothing about at all. Oh yeah, no, there's definitely a whole lot of options that I can end up doing. Whoa. Everything's fine. There are definitely a whole ton of options that I can do. I'm just moving a cord real quick. Because I accidentally bumped it and it pulled on some things, and thankfully it was not anything that was important because it wasn't actually being used in the setup, but I don't know, it's surrounding some of my other cables and I just wanted to make sure. Also, hello, Tyler. Happy Tuesday to you. Hope you're having a wonderful new year. And hello to Harry as well. All right. I need to work on the next model, which we just said her name was Rook. And I need B3, 1, and 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 10. Ooh. Do we want... I think I know my choice here. But I think, do we want for our Mando friend, do we want her to have her face exposed so we can paint some hair? Or do we want to put her in her badass helmet? Because who doesn't want to paint a Mandalorian helmet? Let me know in the chat which you guys would prefer. I think I know what I'm leaning towards. Yeah, I think I know what I'm leaning towards. And I'll probably end up going with that unless you guys just happen to overlap with me. But let me know which you would prefer. Do you think Flesh Terror's red, by the way, Michael, would work better? I could see that. It's a little bit darker, but I'm worried it's actually like... I'm worried it's a little too dark. Maybe if I thin it, maybe it'll look better over the metallic. I'll do some testing. That's really what I've come down to, is I need to do some testing on what I'm specifically going to do with the lightsaber to get a proper glow effect. All right. Where is this? Oh yeah, I do remember when I built a couple of these characters out of the box. All right, where is my Mandalorian? I think she's on this sprue, because I'm seeing a couple helmets here. Do I see her face? That's the question. No, but look at those badass helmets. Or like the tops of somebody's head. I don't really know, but they have like, can you see the spikes? I don't know if you can see it super well. They look really cool. That's more of the same. I'm not seeing her face in this. I think those are his Mandos, but I think that's not the right one. So I need to find her. She's not there. These are the Pikes, which are actually pretty cool. Is she on this sprue? Oh, she's on Maul's sprue. Of course she is. That makes sense. She's also a character. Go figure. All right, let's clip out all these pieces. I have never seen that. That's just a hole. Like a circle, like a round, like, I mean, I assume her leg's gonna go into it. I've never seen it like that before. It looks so odd to me. Get that clipped. There's her backpack. And by backpack, I mean her jets. Is she 6? I'm assuming she must be. Those have to be her legs. Yep, 6 and 7. There's her arm. I'm assuming I just need every piece off of this outside of the remainders of Maul. That would make logical sense to me. So I'm just going to clip them all out. Get them cleaned up, and then we'll start assembling her. I like her, her giant shoulders. Oh, they're not shoulders. Those are her giant hip leg armor. I like it. It's pretty cool. Have you guys seen the trailer for the new Boba Fett? Or not Boba Fett, the next season of Mandalore? Like season 3, it looks so good. There's gonna be so many more Mandalorians on there, and I'm very hyped to see, like, I don't know if we're getting them, like, officially called the Night Owls, if that's still what Bo-Katan's, like, group is still called or not, but I hope so, because I feel like we see the remnants of them in the trailer, which just looks badass. Plus we see, I think, more Death Watch. And it seems like there's a bunch of little subsections of Mandalorians, like, left over, and they end up on Mandalore, and you see, like, the freaking, like, exploded husk of the city, and it just looks so cool. Like, I can't wait to see where they take us on the planet, whether or not we go to the moon, like, if we end up seeing all the stuff that happened in Rebels and Clone Wars, like, being talked about or discussed or anything like that. That'd be so cool. I mean, they are. It's true. They aren't Mandos without helmets, JT. So I agree. I agree with the helmet. That's what I was leaning towards, anyways. So yeah, we're gonna definitely use her helmet. She does have a nice face though. She kind of looks like a sister, honestly. Like she's got the short hair, with the bangs and everything. So she could totally be an alternate sister of Helmet Head, or some sister of Helmet. Oh my god, an alternate sister of Battle Head. I combined, I guess, the word head with... I don't know what I did there. I don't actually know what my brain did there, but it was not working correctly. At all. Alright, so now we just have... That sprue is basically cleaned up, other than some remainder bits, but I'll take care of those later. Let's check and see how much sprue cleanup we need to do. Probably not a huge amount, thankfully. Yeah, I don't think there's really going to be that much necessary. And honestly, sometimes I find with these particular models, the cleanup is almost easier in certain regards, when they're assembled. But not always. All right, get rid of a little bit of flak there just to make sure that that sits into the neck piece correctly, because I felt like Maul's slid a little bit, and I think that's because I didn't fully check that particular element. Or is that just a design detail? I think it's a design detail. Yeah, it's a design detail. It's identical on both sides. We'll get a little bit. Just do that very gently. This is very thin plastic on these hip pieces, so I don't want to like accidentally rub off the detail work they've put on there. I just want to take off the parts that aren't meant to be there, but I don't want to lose those little delicate lines. Okay, she's feeling pretty good. Let's open our instructions back up. So we need to put her torso and the jump pack together first. That's the first thing we're gonna work on. Michael asks, what do you want to come out for 10th edition? He's hoping for Primarch characters crossing the Rubicon and maybe the return of the Lion, with some different guard regiments. Honestly, like, I don't know what I'm hoping for lore-wise or specifically model-wise, but I can tell you what I'm hoping for most in regards to how it plays is that there's just less bloat. Because right now, my biggest problem with 9th edition, and why I haven't really been doing a huge amount with it, is mostly just that I feel like, as much as I like learning about all the different rules from all the different armies, I feel like the dependency on having to know those in order to write even like a fun list to run against another person is just really high right now. I just feel like there's just so much going on. There's so many books you need and all of that I'm really hoping for some condensing of materials that you actually need to cart around with you. But I would love to see some Primarchs come back, especially like the Lion would be great to see back. I don't know if it's actually possible, but I personally would love to see Dorn come back. I know lots of people are desperate to see Leman Russ come back, and I do expect we will see him sometime soon, if anything, because I feel like they've been sort of hinting at his return when they talk about Angram and all the Arcs of Omen. Especially with like all the wolf heads and the fact that I thought Angram was like, I thought either Russ was hunting Angram in the warp or vice versa. I assume it's I think it's Russ hunting him. Although I think he's hunting like a number of people, but I just assume he'll be back sometime soon, which is gonna be great. Like he's of all of the Primarchs, he's probably the one that I'm like about, because I just have a bias against him, because I have a bias towards Magnus the Red. And you can figure out where my bias, what my opinion is there. But yeah, I really do think we're gonna see a couple of people back. I don't know which is gonna come first. I feel like Games Workshop can't not give us both the Lion and Lehman Russ back eventually. I just don't know who will actually like pop out of the warp and surprise everybody first. Sammy, is that true? She has purple hair? Hold on. I have to look her up now. Oh, she does have purple hair. If only her eyes were green. Well, I know who I'm cosplaying. Dude, I actually really like her armor. I didn't realize, because of course I painted it like Maul. It's really cool. Okay, I'm still doing the helmet. I'm still gonna do the helmet. I don't know what just happened with my camera there for a second. I think I'm still gonna end up doing the helmet, but I do think that's pretty neat that she's got purple hair. Ooh, seeing Korax back would be awesome. Like, that would be very, very cool. Vulcan coming back would be phenomenal, especially if they actually, like, tied him up with an orc or something like that, because I know, like, from my understanding, because I actually have not read any of his books or anything like that, but from my understanding, Vulcan, like, exploded on a planet during an orc war, and didn't he, like, we haven't seen him since, basically, right? But he's a perpetual. And so I'm hoping that, like, I've always heard rumors, and I think this came from text-to-speech, but I've heard rumors that he, like, his soul may have, like, fused with an orc or whatever, and I just hope that that's actually true, because I'd love an orc to show up, who then, like, behaves like Vulcan, because that's the body Vulcan's unfortunately been, like, forced into, and it would cause, like, controversy. I really think what's going to end up happening with 10th, though, is I think they're going to end up, and this absolutely would give them total justification for bringing Primarchs back. So this might even work to, like, everybody's desire to see the Primarchs cross the Rubicon and come back and be badass. But what I expect to see happen is that they're going to segment everything into smaller factions that then are, like, civil warring against each other. So, for example, and possibly allying, but, like, I feel like there's going to be a divide in the kingdom of man again. And I think they're already setting themselves up with that because of the Maledictum. You know, Terra can have its own little sector, Baal has its sector, Ultramar has its sector. So, like, if you bring back especially, like, the Lion and Rush, you can probably end up having them be somewhere and holding an area and possibly being allied together, who knows. But I feel like they're going into kingdoms mode going forward, which is going to simultaneously probably allow them to produce a lot more content in regards to varying things up, but I am mildly worried about what that's going to do rules-wise, because if the Space Marines are no longer, like, just segmented by Loyalist and Chaos, but then they start being segmented by, these are the ones supporting Gilliman, these are the ones supporting Russ, these are the ones supporting Dorn, etc., then that could be confusing, especially to new players, which is an interesting, like, topic to see what comes of when the game actually comes out, you know? Is the Iron Hands... I always get Iron Hands and, Is Iron Hands Ferrus Manus? Or is that, the other ones who I always mix them up with? Why can't I remember their name? It's the Iron Hands and then the Iron Warriors. Is that the Iron Warriors? I can't remember now. I definitely think that the Lion's coming back. I also really think Russ is, like, of all of the Primarchs to come back, or that, like, Games Workshop is going to be the most likely to want to bring back that aren't definitively dead. Because, like, I feel like Games Workshop really wants to bring Sanguinius back, but he's dead. Like, he is dead. They saw him. There was a body. He's dead. It would be the Lion and Russ. Portorabo. That's right. It was Portorabo. He is, like, I feel like such a tragic character. I mean, they're all tragic, but yeah, such a, like, such a tragic character. I need the backpack. The backpack. All right. That fits on very cleanly. We don't really need that dry fit, but I did it anyways because I can, and it's a good practice. Don't put it on upside down. Good. Just gonna press and hold for a moment. Not too firmly. I don't want to break the plastic. I'm glad the Tamiya glue is working how I hoped it would, because I only have one bottle of Zappa right now, and it's a giant oversized bottle, and I was like, these are such small minis. I really do not want to have to try to, like, deal with that, and I didn't want to end up burning through a bunch of, like, paintbrushes to try to brush on the glue, because I wasn't going to risk just dabbing it, because I knew I'd overflow with how big of a nozzle it is. But with the Tamiya glue, it's, that brush tip applicator is just so good. Like, I wish this stuff worked on resin, or there was, like, a version of it that worked on resin or metal, because I have a variety of old metal models from Warhammer Fantasy that I'd love to build up and, like, just make it easier on myself. And then, honestly, like, in the Duncan Rhodes, like, paint set, there was a bunch of metal miniatures that I think need some assembly. I haven't actually looked at them super hard, but there's some of those. And then I have a... what was it? It was an indie war game, and I got it at KublaCon. Sludge, I think it is. It's either Sludge or his other game that I'm blanking on the name on. Hold on, I need to look it up. It's called something. You guys know what I'm talking about in regards to Sludge. There's another war game tied to it, and I was hoping I had it just, like, over here, but I'm not seeing it. The game that I got at KublaCon, the war game, I got Sludge, and then he had, like, another one, and I don't remember what... yeah, I don't remember what it was. Just looking it up real quick for you guys. Sludge, is it that game? Yeah, Sludge definitely has metal miniatures. What your other games, sir? Relic Blade. Relic Blade is the name of his other game. So that is the other one that I have some models for, and I think they're also metal. But I think they're more like Dungeons and Dragons ones where they're already pre-assembled. Maybe they have some accessories that need some gluing, but regardless, I really like the brush tip applicator. Ooh, do they need a lot of cleanup? Do they just have, like, a lot of, like, metal bits hanging off of them or anything? Nice. I would, like, you should totally show those to me later, because I have not built or painted any of mine. I have used his paints once. I really like them, but I think, like, because I got all my hype had died for how freaking long it took him to get those paints to us. Like, it was forever, I feel like. And I know it was partially because of just, like, logistics and the world situation in regards to, you know, the pandemic and all of that stuff, but, like, come on. It was a little bit of an extreme time. I realized that every time I put my phone back down on my table, I'm accidentally bumping it so hard that I am moving things for you guys, so I do apologize about that. I'll try to be a little bit more delicate. Does this go here? Is that the bendy leg? That is the bendy leg. Get some glue in. A little bit of glue on the tip here. Just on the tip. And then we will just fit that together. Kind of hold it in place. So many of the Star Wars characters are, like, mid-jump. Jake, I would love to see Sanguinius actually, like, rock out of his coffin, rise like the vampire lord that he is. I just don't think it's gonna happen. I just really, like, I would love it. I just don't see it happening. Ooh, we don't want that gap to show. Let's press that together more. But you know what? I'm not gonna stop believing. I'll believe it with you that he'll come back. He'll rise up in true vampire glory. That's a little bit of a shame, but that just sometimes happens, I guess, right? Like, some models just really have some bad cleanup. I it's going to be interesting to see if model making ends up going more into 3D printers. I think it will over time. I just don't think we're there yet. I think there's too much of a desire for people to still, like, the mass market, you know, your moms and dads and stuff who are buying things for their kids, or, you know, you've got people like me who just don't necessarily want to have a 3D printer yet. Like, I'd rather the technology continue to improve before I invest fully. And I just feel like that's going to continue to be a trend. But you know what? Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that will see a surge of that more so. But I just feel like the fact that we still see places like My Mini Factory with only games, like, and how the fact that they print their STLs that they sell on there and provide a way for people who don't have 3D printers to get still 3D printed models. I just don't know if we're going to see 3D printers in everybody's homes quite yet. I do look forward to it, though. I think it should be fun. Like, I have not specifically explored using a 3D printer myself, like, actually yet, but it's one of those things on my, like, short list of I'd love to try. Alright, I think that is looking good with her legs. We need to now... I'm going to let that dry for a smidge. Take a short break. Where am I at? 2:20, yeah. So I'm going to be back at 2:25, so about 5 minutes from now. I'm just going to take a short break and everything, and that will also give the pieces that I just glued together a little bit of time to solidify so I can move on to the next step. All right, I'll be right back, you guys. I have returned! Alright, let's continue working on this Mando. Also, John, hello and Happy New Year to you. I hope you're having a wonderful 2023 so far. Alright, we've got a little bit of flak, hold on, that we want to try to take care of before we put this arm on, because otherwise I think it might be possible to get to. Clean. That was done beautifully. Let me just get a little bit of the sandpaper. Let's smooth down our edges a little bit. That side looks fine. It's a little rough, but not too bad. And now we will dry fit our arms. So we got that one, goes like that. And then, how are you sitting in? Like straight out? Is that what the directions show me? Let me check. It's very important. That's my Instagram. That's not what I need. I need to open files. Okay, yes, the pointy out arm is pretty much off to one side. There we go. Plenty of glue there. How many times do you think we're going to hear "This is the way" in the new season of The Mandalorian? Because I feel like it's going to be a lot. Probably an absurd amount. I mean, David, you're not wrong. They could bring him back because it is fantasy and they can do what they want. But they do try to hold to the canon of their own story most of the time. And I mean only most of the time. But you know what? He's a popular enough character. I could definitely see them doing that, right? Like I don't put it past them. That's for sure. Ah, David, that sucks that you have to go back to a normal work shift tomorrow. I'm sure the 2 weeks that you had where it was like not as bad or you had off has just been a lot more enjoyable. Enjoy. I hope you have a good rest of your night so you can get some rest before you go in tomorrow. Thank you for stopping by before you headed out. It was super great to have you here. I am being super awkward with my goodbyes. Have a good sleep, sir. Bye. These sanding sponges that, what are the sanding sponges like so far might be worth picking some up. So, Michael, to answer your questions, I really like them. I've only used the Tamiya ones, but I actually got sent some sanding materials by God Hand as well. I just haven't, tried it out yet, and honestly, I had forgotten about it until just before the stream started. Otherwise, I would have had them prepped to be able to give them a shot today too. But I really like them because it is a malleable material that it's on. I find you can get better like just control over where you're angling it to. Now, it is sometimes like if you got a really like fine groove area, it may not be as vital there because like this is super thick, right? Like it's got a pretty decent thickness to it. So like getting in, you know, if you had put this arm on, for example, had that armpit to get into, like this is only going to hit so far up with the actual sandpaper part. So there is a little bit of a disadvantage in that regard. And so I definitely still thinking having a like set of you know, some sort of files, like flat files like this is good, but I do like this for doing cleanup and smoothing down some of the other work that I do because it's a much finer grain of sandpaper, and so it just like softens all of the markings that I've put on the model from like clipping and all that kind of thing. Is her arm like popping out? What? No. Ooh, it is. Hold on. I also think I just wiggled her leg. Did. Hold on. Make cousins all sorts of problems. Okay, seal the leg. Press it together. We're gonna... I clearly did not let that dry enough. And I don't think I've borked this enough to make it unusable, which is good. But now I'm a little afraid to touch her. That's what I get for working on tiny, delicate models. That's how that goes. Let's try this one more time. We'll press her on. And we're going to hold her better this time. Alright. I'm just going to hold here for a moment. Probably, that's my expectation as well, Ben. I think we're going to hear it at least once or twice an episode. Which, hopefully will not get too annoying. And, I don't know, it'll be so interesting. Because, like, I am very much looking forward to the new season. Michael, did I answer your question about the sanding sponges thoroughly enough? Like, I like them. I would recommend checking some out. I don't have I can't really give you a solid preference of like, oh, I really love this brand because I've literally only used the ones from Tamiya, and so far I like them. So I would definitely like encourage you to explore them when you're researching which ones you think might work best for you. But I do really, really like them. That's honestly the thing that I could recommend for any hobby tool that you're wanting to invest in is if you know you're like, oh, I really want sanding sponges, or I really want weathering powders, or I really want adhesives, like look around, shop around, see what you think is gonna work best for one, how you want to work. Like that's one of the reasons I like the Tamiya Thin Cement so much is because it has that brush tip applicator and it just works really smoothly for me. I'm really gravitating towards these God Hand nippers because I think they have a very fine tip on them, and so far I've gotten pretty exceptionally clean clips off of my model here, which has been very, very nice to see. And I've even been able to go back with them and do a little bit of cleanup, so that's been really nice. I probably will ultimately recommend these very, very highly, but honestly, just like keep trying things, do some research, and figure out what you think is going to fit your desires best and your budget, because that's also another key factor. Like, you don't want to buy something just because it was recommended if it's like wildly outside of your budget or something, which I know some hobby tools can be like very dramatically either overpriced or just like expensive because of what it is you're actually buying. And sometimes that you need, you know, something more expensive when it comes to quality with some of those products. The main thing I'm thinking of is like airbrushes. I feel like if you get like a super cheap airbrush, you will be able to tell it versus if you were to get like a mediumly priced or high-end airbrush, for example. The Space Marine, you know, I've thought about doing a Slave Leia costume before. I actually think I have one on my Amazon wish list. I don't know if it's still available, though. I need to go check that. But it's definitely not a costume I'm opposed to. So yeah, I mean, maybe eventually, either when I decide to buy it or when somebody else decides to buy it for me and send it my way. We'll figure that out at some point, but yeah, it's a costume that I really, really like. I just don't feel like I don't make my own costumes. I definitely just buy them all, and I don't feel like I've found all but one, and again, I'm not sure if it's still available, like one good-looking one that's not just like super cheap or ridiculously overpriced. And I don't know anybody that has the time specifically to really aid in like costume making right now. Which is a little bit of a shame because like eventually one day I want a Sister of Battle costume, like a true one, armor and all. It'd be glorious. Ugh. I also want to get like together a like more solid like Imperial Guard outfit. I want a Slaanesh Demonette outfit, or some sort of thing. I just think that would be cool, like a bodysuit or something. I don't know. It'll be fun. I don't know. We have got some plans in the future for some fun ideas, especially if you follow my After Dark content. Alright, I think the arm is actually dried and properly in place this time because I just think I didn't wedge it into the correct spot or something. I don't know what exactly happened, but we'll move on to the other side now. Maybe I just didn't use enough glue. Maybe it just like I put a little thin coating, but it wasn't actually enough to hold it. I wonder if this is, you know, now that I think about it, the plastic on the Legion models feels kind of similar to, like, and I'm not saying it is the same plastic, but it feels similar to the plastics that I've felt when, like, the way that the plastic feels when you're working with the Tamiya products. So I wonder if, like, this is just a very similar type of material, and that's why it's working so well. But I do feel like it's holding pretty well. Matched everywhere. Just doing a little look-see-loo. Make sure we don't have any giant gaps or something in our armpit. That would be terrible. I think we're looking good. So again, I'm gonna just lean her on this. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna throw her wildly against the table and possibly knock her arm out of place. That would suck. I'll get her head on in a second. I just want to let that outstretched arm dry, obviously. Ooh, what kind of LARP were you running, Ben? I have not participated in any LARPs. They honestly, like, especially back in the day when I had a lot more opportunities to actually do so, the idea of LARPing dramatically terrified me because I don't feel like I do super well thinking on the spot. I mean, you guys have watched me stream. I sometimes stutter and, like, my brain starts going faster than my mouth can and I end up stumbling over things. And so I just never really felt confident going into a like that kind of improv perspective, or not perspective, situation. And the one time that I was put into an improv situation where I had to on the spot come up with something and attempt to be funny, or like in this instance I was attempting to be funny, but in that, you know, in a LARP and everything, it doesn't necessarily have to be specifically funny to thing that you're coming up with. But I didn't feel comfortable with it, so I didn't really do much LARPing. However, I wish that I hadn't been such a coward and that I'd actually participated in some of the LARPs that happened on my college campus. I said that backwards. This is why I didn't feel comfortable doing LARPs, because I don't make sense sometimes when I speak. But I do wish I had participated in some of them, because I witnessed some of them because I was part of the Gamers Guild on campus and they hosted a lot of them. So, like, I saw them, I was there, I wasn't an active player in them. I also wish I had done some Vampire the Masquerade LARPs. I don't remember specifically what everything that they did at, like, the school was, but because they weren't all Vampire the Masquerade, they were like other systems and stuff too. But yeah, definitely something that I wish that I had done. Maybe the next time I go to Gen Con, maybe I'll see if I can sign up for something and actually give it a shot. I'm still very nervous about it because I still don't think I'm very good at coming up with things impromptu, but I've done more role-playing since then, and so I feel like it's just role-playing on your feet as opposed to sitting down, and if I just think about it that way, hopefully it'll calm my, like, nervousness about it, but we'll see. Ah, nice! Deadlands. I'm familiar with Deadlands. I have not seen any LARPs of it, but the game store that I used to work at definitely had a small collection of, like, old Deadlands miniatures, and I think some of the rule books actually, before it, like, because unfortunately, it had been really popular, if I remember correctly, like, at the store at one point. I think it was Deadlands. Am I thinking of the wrong? Does it also have a RPG / miniatures game tied to it, Deadlands, or am I thinking of a slightly different Wild West undead themed thing? Because now I'm not confident in what I was just saying, and I'm very nervous that I, like, might sound like a fool, but we'll find out. Hello, Robert! It's good to have you here. Welcome to the stream. If you are unaware, today I am working on some Shadow Collective miniatures from Star Wars Legion, which includes Darth Maul, which we built. In fact, while we're letting our character dry, we'll show off Darth Maul. There he is. Look at him. He's badass. He's, like, running towards you. He's got his double lightsaber. He could have had the dark saber, but I decided to go with the double lightsaber because it's my favorite. It's classic. And I love that he has a totally exposed and open V-neck top because he is a sexy red man. I do love Darth Maul so very much. He's got a rock, which is not really important for us to look at. And now we are building Rook. His, like, I think it's a second in command. I actually don't know much about her, but it turns out she has purple hair, as people in chat have described to me. However, we are going to be putting her helmet on her because she is a Mandalorian, and gosh darn it, they need to wear their helmets. The only one who's allowed to not is Sabine, and I mean, although I still would probably put her helmet on. You know what? They all have their helmets. They all must have their helmets. There is no one who will not have their helmet on. Ooh, that is very cool. I would love to see some pictures of your Thousand Suns if you were willing to share them on any of my social medias with me, because that would be very, very cool. I've never heard of Deathlands as a book series. I'm not surprised that there's a Deathlands book series. Is it also about Wild West zombie cowboys? Or is it something else? Okay, good. I'm so glad that I wasn't completely wrong in what I was thinking about, because I swear that's what it was, and I could not remember properly because it was literally, like, they had a sprinkling of it left over at the store when I first started there, and that was ages ago, so, like, I was not confident in my memory at that point. Glenn Dean 6, to answer your question about brush applicators in applying glue, I love them. I am actually using the Tamiya Extra Thin Cement, which has a brush applicator. Thank God I did not lean that over further. I did not actually have it fully sealed. That would have been disastrous. I could have just dumped it all over this model and melted it into goo. That would have been not good. I would have been so upset. But I really like brush tip applicators. I wish everything had that because I just think it works significantly better. And I don't like tube applicators because I find that the potential for spillage and overflow of that is just... I have had too many bad experiences using that kind of applicator. Now, I will admit that Citadel, when I figured out, like, how to properly keep the... I can't actually say that I figured out how to keep it clean. I just managed somehow to keep the little, like, drip applicator that comes in the Citadel plastic glue tubes, like, clear and not clogged. That did work quite well, but I felt like the struggle of trying to keep that thing clean was not worth it, so I much prefer a brush tip applicator. I feel like I also just have more control with a brush than anything else anyways, so might as well. Okay, so it's that's pretty cool sounding, actually. It has been. I like the sound of that. I'll have to maybe check that out. Add it to the list of books that I have on my list. All right, let's go ahead and get her head on, and then we can put her her little skirt portion. What is that called? What is this side armor, like, panel portion of, like, what is that called in regards to armor? Somebody look it up and tell me, and or just, if you know already, I demand that you tell me. I keep thinking I want their heads to squish in way more than they do. There we go. That looks great. She looks like a badass. I really like the sculpting. I don't know how obvious it is to you guys. Can you see the slight pattern on her helmet? Like, I really like the design of it. I'm assuming it's because of her allegiance to Maul and everything. Maybe the pattern is meant to mimic a little bit of his head designs. But either way, very, 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 very cool. All right, I think I need to check the instructions and see. Okay, this panel section goes on the back, so this is going to be the one on this side. Yeah, that looks cool. A little bit of glue. Just slide that into place. Try not to jostle her head too much, like I just did. No. Okay. Oh my gosh, that was almost a disaster. I completely got that panel stuck, like, up tall, like past her belt or whatever. That was, ugh. That was terrified. Oh, I've also loosened her head. Hold on, I need to hold it in place. Okay. We're just gonna set her off to the side before we put that other hip piece on, because I accidentally bumped her head when I put the first one on, and I'm just gonna stop now. It is called a kama, or a belt cape. Oh, okay, so it's a Japanese, because it's kama. That sounds like a Japanese word, but I'm now not sure. It just sounds like it. I don't know why it sounds like it. I think because I'm imagining, like, samurai with, like, those panels on their armor. But now I'm not so sure. But thank you for answering the question, John. I really appreciate that. Oh my god, a commissar costume would be sick. Imagine with the tall hat. Ugh, it'd be so good. Honestly, yes, I agree. I would also love to do a commissar costume. There's really a lot of costumes. Oh my god, an Inquisitor costume would also be rad. I actually have a wig already that is one of my alternates for like a Sister of Battle, where it's like longer and a little choppier. But it also looks super good. Actually, with the hat that I'm wearing in the thumbnail for this video, with the one that I used for like the pirate thing when I did the chromic painting tutorial, it looks so good, and it totally has like a little bit of an Inquisitor vibe to it. And I have some ideas for that, because the jacket also kind of looks a little Inquisitor-y to me, or Rogue Trader-y. Like, you could easily have it do that, which honestly would be great, because I'm super hyped for Rogue Trader when it comes out. Alright. Are you dry yet? Or can I fiddle with you? I'm so terrified to, like, touch you now, because I almost wrecked your face. Literally. I almost wrecked it literally. Also, I need to remember to not slam my phone down on the table, because when I bump it, it like messes with the camera and changes its orientation. They are quite small. Yes, they are very small figures, but have lots of fine detail on them, which is very nice. Although it's going to make painting her delicate, to say the least. Okay, cool, cool. What, Chris, you said that you tried to get into Legion, but you have to admit you're a bit hesitant because of Atomic Mass games. What specifically about Atomic Mass has you hesitant? I've heard, like, I know some people are... Honestly, that is the best word about that I've heard for it, is like hesitant to invest in it because of Atomic Mass, but I've not really had negative experiences with them so far. But I also don't do, like, I'm not actively trying to get involved in, say, their like their league play or anything like that. And by league, I mean like their play. That's what Asmodee uses for their terms for that. So I've never participated in any of their organized play events, but I've bought stuff for their organized play events when I was a buyer or game store. And other than like having some trouble getting my rep to send me some things on occasion, which had really nothing to do directly with Atomic Mass, it had everything to do with Asmodee, because they were the overarching, like, who we were actually in contact with. I've not actually experienced too much negative things about it, so I'd love to know, like, what specifically has you a little concerned about jumping in. Because I personally really like the gameplay. Like, I have not played a huge amount, I will admit. I've only played a very small amount of Legion so far, but what I have experienced has been very engaging, and the gameplay was both quick. I still felt like I was getting plenty of strategy out there, but I'm also biased towards games that like lean on card draw mechanics and that kind of thing. So, that's fair. Okay, yeah, that's sort of what I've heard. I feel like that is a problem that has been passed down unto them by like Fantasy Flight Games, which, you know, originally were producing all of the miniature products for Asmodee before Atomic Mass got acquired by them. And I feel like it's just something that they've continued. And again, I don't know, like, I mean, it probably is Atomic Mass's problem, because like specifically it is their fault ultimately, because they're probably the ones, you know, writing the schedule and such. But I feel like it's really just Asmodee's problem of they are the ones not supporting things, because they've always felt like just either rehashing their evergreens. Good lord, do they love selling you more and more and more and more and more and more Catan and Ticket to Ride. But then they also like just constantly want to put out new stuff, always moving forward and never like maintaining or supporting the back end. And I don't know why that translates so negatively sometimes into their organized play. But at least in my experience, I've not had too much of a bad problem with it. But again, I've not specifically participated as like on that, like as that side of the program. I've only ever seen it from the support side. And I at least tried to make sure we got stuff for our league players. or X-Wing and Legion. And unfortunately, Armada was never a game that really like took off at the store that I was working at, so we never brought in those particular price support programs or anything like that, organized play supplies, because they do actually cost the stores money to order. They aren't free or anything, so the store is actually having to buy those, which is a little bit of a shame. Like if I had to have a complaint about what they do, is I think organized play events should be in some way further discounted than they already are for stores, because I feel like a lot of stores end up getting stuck with them, like just having excess product around for ages. Like I know that definitely happened. Is that like, is there supposed to be a gap like that? Is there a picture of her butt? They don't show me the backside of it. To the interweb! Alright, we need to look up. What is her name? Rook? What is your name? Rook something? Rook something? Rookcast. Rookcast. Somebody show me her butt. Oh my god, her armor is purple. I'm so excited to paint this model. That is fantastic. Please show me the model's butt, because I need to confirm that this gap is supposed to be there. Star Wars Legion. Wow, this is not helping me. Okay, I'm not finding a picture of the back, but I'm going to assume that that's proper because I don't think I clipped anything incorrectly. I'm not seeing, let me check the sprue. Like, I didn't have extra stuff to clip off. And I'm not seeing anything left on here, like in the B's, because this is where she was. So there's nothing extra left anywhere that looks like it's like a missing piece. Because remember how I talked about how I accidentally like clip things off accidentally? That's what I was worried I did there, because it's not a perfectly smooth, but I think it's supposed to be, gapped like that. Because the rest of it looks correct. So I'm going to assume it's correct. We can set her off to the side. Do I have time? I do not. I do not have time to start another miniature because we're going to wrap up here in like 8 minutes. So I'm just going to switch over to full screen. Hello. Hello, we are here. We're full screen. We're just going to chill for the last bit of time because I have built 2 models in 2 hours. I'm averaging a solid miniature an hour. Fantastic news. It's mostly because I've been chatting, but this was good. I'm glad I at least cleared 1 sprue. You know, we've got the 1 sprue cleared. And I got the important model built up, which is Darth Maul, who I'll be painting on the channel in the future. But I'm hoping to have some of the other ones done so that when I do like the turnaround of Darth Maul, my hope is that I'll be able to have multiple figures with him who are also painted up and just make it look that much more badass. So that is the hope, and that'll be coming out sometime here in the future on the channel, probably this month, but I haven't fully decided when that's happening. I do have a fun Lego video planned for you this week, talking about my favorite build of 2022. So be looking forward, or my favorite set, I guess, really, of 2022, but I have some honorable mentions I want to talk about as well. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that, and I hope you had fun on today's live stream, and that everybody's been having a fantastic new year so far, because I personally have been having a great time. I see that, let's see, Okami Prime says, Asmodee has left a really bad taste in my mouth regarding the way they treated Legends of the Five Rings. Love the original setting of L5R, and the Final Fantasy Flight version with Asmodee just completely trashed the 20-year history. You know what? I've never played Legend of the Five Rings, I actually didn't realize until the re-release of it back when that first launched for like the new version that you're probably dissatisfied with, that it had even had an older system. But I can agree, because I have seen the downgrade of those products over time. Like, I don't know what it is about Fantasy Flight Game. They are super good at like hyping up a new product, getting everybody on board for like investing in something, and creating these like cool narrative driven legacy products that have multitudes of content coming out every month in order to give players something new to do, right? However, they like just after a certain point completely drop the ball and stop supporting things. And I don't know, like I really feel like it comes down to a problem where Asmodee has a specific expectation of growth that they only seem to be able to do via bringing in new licenses, new products, or just producing new things in general. And which is a shame, because like a lot of, I think, their games are these type that are almost serial in the sense that they have a lot of, you know, they've got the entire Fantasy Flight line with all of their LCGs, which all have seasons and like content that's constantly coming out for them, but they don't like long-term supporting it, weirdly, at least like on the part that gets like the hardcore or their like most invested players really satisfied. And that's such a shame. I am glad that you've been enjoying the stream, Ben. I really appreciate you saying that. I feel like I have slowly gotten the hang of doing the streams a little bit more, and I feel like I've gotten a little bit of a, like, I've figured my setup a little bit better. I want to look into getting like a little bit more equipment to help support streaming in the future, but that probably won't come until a little bit later in this first quarter, just because of like where I'm thinking things need to be, like where energy needs to be put right now. But I'm hoping to even have more stuff with this and actually like, I don't know, have custom emojis or something. I don't know how that works or something, but we'll figure it out eventually. John, you were saying that you think the model's butt is supposed to have that cleft. Okay, that's what I was thinking too, because I think it's supposed to be swishing, but I wasn't sure if the cape was actually meant to be fabric or metal, and that's why I was mildly concerned. But I think you're right, it does look like it's how it's supposed to be, so thank you for confirming that as well. Michael, to answer your question, I do have a Discord, but in order to access it, you have to be a patron, which you can get access to it with any of the 3 tiers that I have if you want to become a patron, but I do keep it private that way. So you're welcome to become a Patreon member and then get access to the Discord, where you can chat with me about all sorts of things. I have a bunch of different channels on there for talking about wrestling and Lego and your works in progress, and where you can show off all your finished products and, you know, all sorts of things. Cooking, like if you're into really cooking, which I have been trying to get back into. I started a little bit last year and sort of fell out of it, and I'm trying to get like back into it this year. So I'm hoping to be posting more of my own cooking projects there, and I'd love to see what you guys are doing. So yeah, if you want to do that, or anybody wants to do that, the best way to share your projects with me is to join my Discord via joining my Patreon. And that also helps support the channel and just help keep us going. Plus, you get your name added to the end of the videos when I do my Patreon thanks, or my patron thanks. So you'll get on that nice little list and everything. And thank you to everybody who is a patron member who's been here in chat and just been supporting me this whole time, because like you guys are amazing and I really, really appreciate it. All right, you guys, I am going to go ahead and head off. I've got like 3-ish minutes left till 3 o'clock, but I think we're at a good stopping point. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today and chatting. I hope you enjoy this. I'm hoping to do some more work on the Legion members, whether it be building some more of them on stream. My hope is actually to maybe have some painting sessions with some of the models that are not Maul later on down this week when it comes to doing some more hobby streams. But I also might be working on some of my mocks. Basically, I have 3 resolutions that I'm trying to get done in, well, not January specifically, but I have a couple things that I'm trying to get done. I want to finish those Cromlech orcs that I've been working on with you guys, like, and actually get them complete, because I feel like I've been taking forever on them. So I want to do that. I want to get the Shadow Collective built and painted up in January, hopefully. That's my expectation, or like hope at least, and desire. And then my long-term goal for the year is I want to keep working on my Lego City. So I might throw some Lego build into the hobby stream on Tuesdays as well. We'll see how it comes out. You'll see announcements and everything. But as usual, I am going to head off now. Thank you guys again so much for being here, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye guys.